caught up with her need. God wants our gratitude to be that kind of an expression. Now, probably caught your interest because you have a tea bag stapled to the top of your bulletin. Wondered what that was? Well, for those of you that don't know or aren't familiar with the process, let me tell you how you make tea. Yeah, because I'm sure none of you have ever done that. First, you have to open that outer wrapper. Then you need to expose the actual tea bag that's inside that paper. Then you take that tea bag and you put it into a cup of boiling hot water. And then you let it steep. Isn't that a weird word, steep? What it means? If I use it in other contexts, you probably know, if I go up that set of stairs, they are very steep. If I go down, I want you to watch your step because those steps are very steep. Steep talks about a severe incline or decline. And when it comes to something like tea that you let steep, you are taking it from its room condition and you are putting it into very hot water, and then you let that incline draw the flavor out of that tea bag. Kind of like where we read in the Bible that it says, you will be the salt of the earth. Did you put your saltiness within you? And when you come into contact with the ethos of this world, are you the one that's bringing out that flavor, or are you just enhancing it, reflecting it, letting God do his work? The neat thing about tea is when you put it into that hot water, you get this delicious beverage that then is comforting, soothing. It's warming to everything that we do. Why? Because the flavor's been drawn out because of the hot water. So the next time you get yourself into hot water, think about what maybe God is doing. Is he drawing the flavor out of you? We don't like to go through those difficult times, like when you go through strategic planning. Now you just need to let them steep. And when they steep, the flavor comes out, and they're not the same. That tea bag does not stay the same. Interestingly, if you want a different flavor of tea, you just change the water, right? No. You have to change the entire tea bag. When God wants a different individual, he doesn't change his grace. He doesn't change the circumstances. He doesn't change the difficult times. What he changes is the individual. Each one of us has our own universe. God wants to use each one of us. Nancy and I got bored yesterday afternoon. We sat down for a while. Something we rarely do on a Saturday afternoon. We watched a movie that happened to be on TV. Now, we didn't turn the movie on. We turned the TV on and the movie happened to be on. It was the movie Hugo. Anybody seen it? 1, 2. Hugo is about a little boy who loses his father. His father is one of these repair geniuses. Clockmaker extraordinaire. Well, won't give you the whole story because you might actually want to watch the movie. One of the lines in there that Hugo says reflects what we need to learn. He says, the reason I like machinery is because when it comes together, there are no extra parts. Everything has its purpose. Everything has what it was made for, and no more. Therefore, in this world, a little boy, father, without a family, is not an extra part. He said, I'd like to believe in the universe it's the same, and every piece has its purpose. And I just need to find mine. Pretty cool, eh? God, you did good. 2 illustrations in one day. At the end of the movie, there's a lot of gratitude. He finds his purpose. He finds a new life. He's been steeped in the troubles of life and emerged more flavorful than you can imagine. And out of that comes great gratitude. You see, we didn't put the image of God in us. We didn't put the grace of God in us. We didn't put God's salvation with us. God put them there. And what we need to do is sometimes go through the hot water, the difficult times, the unpleasant circumstances, so that God can draw all of that flavor that he's put there out. And when that happens, rather than railing against God, rather than fighting all that we see going on around us, we need to, as Paul says, give God thanks in all situations, good or bad. Live by his grace with an attitude of gratitude. And no, that's not my original line either. In other words, we go through the difficult times because the only way that we find our dependence upon God's grace is by traveling through the desert to reach our home. Each one of us has that. And the only way to the promised land, the land of shalom, the land of peace, is through the wilderness times, the wilderness places. And so rather than being upset about the difficult times, give God thanks for what he will be teaching you in the difficult times. Out of gratitude, like the Dutch illustration I gave you at the beginning, we need to learn how to show gratitude. Anyone know how God wants us to show gratitude? Gives us some very clear definitions. He gave us the 10 Commandments. He said, now if you want to show me your love, if you want to show me your commitment, if you want to show me your gratitude, then do these things. Don't have idols. Don't think that there's someplace else that's doing all these things for you. Just recognize who's doing it. That's thanks enough. Honor your father and your mother. Don't break relationships with all sorts of people. Don't do things that are harmful to you or harmful to others, like steal or kill. But instead, live lives as people of gratitude. And how do you do that? Well, with the very positive commands that God has given us. Now, we read the 10 Commandments and we say, yep, that's Christians. That's Jews. Whole list of things we can't do. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. The beauty of the Heidelberg is all over, and it says, no, that's not what drives us to recognize our sin. That's what shows us how to respond to God in gratitude. My Fridays are taken up on my day off working around the house. I vacuum, I dust, I do up the rest of the dishes. Do a lot of little odd jobs around the house like that. Not because Nancy tells me I have to. Well, sometimes she does, but not usually because she tells me I have to. But because I love her. And I want to thank her. And I want to do things for her that make her happy, that please her. I don't have to do those things to win her love. She's already told me it's there. I do those things because she loves me. I don't have to keep God's commandments so that God will love me. I keep God's